Hey guys, Wes Zandt here from the Down Under Centre. Today we're talking about the Fitter Skills Assessment, which is a mandatory requirement if you're looking to apply for a skilled independent visa, or depending on the passport you hold, if you're applying for a 482 visa, certain passport holders are required to complete the skills assessment to be eligible for that. Or if you're looking to apply for a 186 employer nominated ENS visa, then the skills assessment is required. So a fitter skills assessment is important, and the process of getting the skills assessment is broken into two stages. The first stage is you proving on paper that you've got the necessary skills, pay documents, tax documents, photos, videos, references. If you hold, there's two pathways. You've got pathway one. Those are for people who do not hold an Australian qualification, which would be most of you. They require photos, videos, references, pay documents, tax documents. If you have a relevant qualification, it's a minimum of 3 years full-time paid work experience. Without a relevant qualification, it's 5 years of full-time paid work experience. If you do hold an Australian qualification, we won't ask for photos and videos, but you still be required to gather the necessary documents, which will be 3 years. So I'm joined by Steve Tran. So Steve, you're one of our fitter assessors. So thanks for making the time to come up with this little video, mate.
No, thank you. Look, it's great to be here, Wes. I'm looking forward to sharing some knowledge and information about what applicants can expect in their
Yeah,
skills assessment.
it's hard, Steve, because it's very challenging. The skills assessment's the hardest part of applying for a skilled visa. At the Down Under Centre, as you know, and I'll let the listeners know that we actually provide a service, guys. So we call it our agency service. So if you're thinking about applying for a skilled visa, we provide an agency service where if you're based outside of Australia, maybe from the UK, we charge a fee of £600 plus VAT. If you're in Australia, for example, we charge a fee of $1,050 plus GST. And for that, guys, we'll work with you to gather all the documentation you need for the skills assessment. At the same time, we'll be gathering all the years of evidence you need for the visa. Depending on the passport you hold, you'll have to do an English test. But even if you do hold a passport that doesn't require an English test, it's generally required so you can generate the points for a visa. So a skilled independent visa is broken into different stages, and a skills assessment is part of that. But by using our agency service, we'll give you access to what we call is a client portal. That's where Steve will be at the end of that, or what we call is a client manager. That tool is designed so we can gather all the documentation for the skills assessment. We spoke about photos, videos, references, pay documents, tax documents. You're uploading all them to the portal, and one of our client managers will be there. At the same time, we're getting all the documentation for the portal. We're also getting all the documentation you need for the visa if you're claiming work experience points. We'll give you practice English exam preparation, and we even put all of our clients in one Facebook group. Now, the beauty of that Facebook group is there's thousands of people in there that have either just made the move in the same shoes as you. When you're applying for a skilled visa or any visa, the emotional side is quite challenging. So to have like-minded people in a Facebook group to offer you support is wonderful. If you're outside of Australia, you'll also get a free relocation call with one of our relocation agents. Their job is to sort of help them out, Steve, and just give them, how to set your tax file number up, what are good areas to live in that state, talk about schools. You get access to the DUC Employment Hub too, all part of our service. But yeah, the portal's really key, and it's something that you work a lot with. So as an assessor, Steve, we spoke about the first part of the skills assessment being a documentary assessment. I always feel that's the hardest part, proving on paper you've got the necessary skills. What's your thoughts on the actual documentary assessment?
Look, the documentary assessment stage is one of the most challenging sections to get the process rolling. But when you're working with the client manager, it really cuts down the time and it takes out the stress of having to try to come up with all that information yourself. If as long as you're working with the client manager and there's clear pathways of communication there, it's a really seamless and effortless journey through that stage.
Now, as an assessor, we talk about, so let's say it's a pathway one client. So the person has a qualification from the UK or no qualification and 5 years of experience. Your job is to assess against units of competency. So obviously via the portal, we'll give you all the information, the migrant all the information that they need. And then, you're at the back end with the client manager looking for photos. What if someone can't get certain photos and videos? Is there a way that you can suggest other methods?
Definitely. So in Australia, there's what we call the guidelines that we have to follow as assessors and gathering of evidence. Now, evidence can come in many different forms, shapes, sizes. There's no one sort of evidence fits all. We have to sort of diversify as the assessor, and we will work with you to gather evidence. It could be employer statements. We can come up together and work together to try to get alternative evidence. We understand as assessors that you might not be working in that industry right now. You might be migrating over already, or you might be just working in a different industry. There are ways that we can work together to gather what we need.
Yeah, and Steve, when we look at fitters, what we look at hydraulics, pumps, engines, motors, valves. It could be earth moving equipment. It could be production line machinery. I guess the word fitter general sort of captures lots of different industries, all in the same on the same boats, but you've got units of competency that we're going to assess or that you'll be assessing. So it sort of does stretch over. So I always find when I'm in a consultation or speaking with with a fitter that you're actually surprised of what that covers. And is there certain tasks or skills that are just absolutely required for people to get through the skills assessment as a fitter?
Definitely. We have what's called core units. Now, core units are covered across all of the engineering fields. They are the units that are mandatory, but they're what I like to call more safety orientated, workplace based units of competency. But generally, for fitters, you want to be doing those tasks like major mechanical strip down and repair. So you're talking replacement of gearboxes, hydraulic work, pneumatic work. Also, uh, general machining is not really required, but what people don't understand is, general machining can come across as workshop machines. So we're talking large drill presses. You don't have to be on lathes and mills to sort of have to get through the skills assessment, is in which I find the candidates come to me all the time and say, well, I don't use lathes and mills.
Yeah.
That's absolutely fine. We've got other workshop machines that we can use. The assessor knows and will pry into your work history to get that information out of you. Even if you think that you don't understand or you don't have that knowledge, we can guarantee that we can find that knowledge somewhere in your work history.
Yeah, it's really challenging, I guess, isn't it? And I guess that's where the client portal comes into because it gives you variations of what you can see, and then I guess you're at the back making sure that you're happy with it. And while that's happening, you're kind of unofficially assessing them, aren't you? You're sort of getting the necessary documents, and then you advise the client manager to say, "Hey, we've actually got enough now for the skills assessment." So the documentary assessment part is one part of it. Let's talk about the technical interview stage. So we know that when someone does a technical interview, they go into an approved venue, or we can give them permission to do that from their home. There's yourself, the assessor. There's also someone known as an invigilator, and their job is to make sure no coaching or cheating is happening. And mate, the invigilator every 15 minutes makes them move the camera around and shows that no one else is in the room. And probably is it a distraction? Do you think, or it sort of just flows nicely with the invigilator being there?
No, it absolutely flows nicely. And what's important to remember as well is that they're not only there for for myself, they're there for the candidate as well.
Yeah,
They're making sure that it's fair. The
yeah,
interview is going to be a fair interview.
yeah. It's good. And what would people expect from a technical interview? What are sort of questions an assessor might ask regarding fitters?
Sure. So, look, we're not going to sit here and ask you to calculate, and I need to know the formula of how much the flow rate of a certain pump is going to be. It's a very generalized question. So, for example, if we were going to, let's take it back to basics and go to, say, technical drawings, which will be your first unit of competency. You can expect to hear the assessor state something like this. So, it'll be MEM 09002, interpret technical drawings. And then I'll ask you a question. So it might be something along the lines of, tell me what information you could find on a technical drawing. And then the candidate will answer. It's important to remember that in Australia, assessors are governed by the fair assessment criteria. So we have to provide reasonable adjustment as well to the candidate. Now, reasonable adjustment in the case of the technical interview will be that if you don't understand the question, we'll ask you in a way that will help you to understand, or we could give you a real life situation that you've been in, because I've seen your workplace on the videos and the photos, and I've seen all your documents, I'll structure the question to your workplace.
Yep. And when you get through the documentary assessment stage, would it be fair to say the technical interview is just putting like the, I don't know, the icing on the cake? It's sort of like a top up. So now they're demonstrating verbally, that they have been doing what they've written down by references and CVs, etc.
Exactly right. And the biggest sort of it's called your applicant kit. It's your written document that really gets your mindset ready for the technical interview. So everything that is in stages 1 and 2, especially stage 2, this is getting your mindset ready for the technical interview.
Yep. Yeah, and you'd say that's a good resource for people to view over before they're doing a technical interview, is to go over the applicant kit.
100%, especially the written applicant kit, because it's all structured pretty much closely to the technical interview.
Mm. Now, look, I find when I'm assessing plumbers that that plumber may not do certain tasks. They've done it in the past, but they don't do it all the time. That's absolutely fine, isn't it? They've just got to explain how they would do that task if they've got that task put in front of them again.
Exactly right. So we understand again. You might not be in that industry, or you might have done it a few years ago, but you're not doing that role in the current workplace. As long as you can prove it, and there's different ways, especially the written applicant kit, and also we're capturing that evidence in the technical interview as well. So that's absolutely fine.
And Steve, when we look at photos and videos, lots of those photos and videos can be captured in like a few days that you require. That they're just setting up tasks and they're just doing things. What are good factors for people to put in their photo and video? Obviously, we've got health and safety. Do you recommend they wear like goggles if they're using machinery and health and safety equipment, etc.?
Yeah, so it needs to be a full simulated work environment. So we want to see that PPE on. We don't want to see sort of staged photos. We want to see you in your natural environment doing your natural tasks. So health and safety 100% needs to be incorporated, but you also need to catch the validity. We need to see your face in the videos. We can't have just some random videos uploaded. We do need to see your face, your body in the actual workshop.
Yeah, fantastic. Any advice you'd like to give for fitters, mate?
Fitters when they come in through, a lot of people once they enter the technical interview, especially, they're quite nervous. But we are. What the beauty of it is we're working in the background with you before you get to the technical interview. So we're building a relationship before we get in, and this is once we come in, 10 to 15 minutes before, we'll have a chat and we'll calm those nerves, and then we'll get into it.
Yeah. Yeah, they always get worried. I think these videos, I mean, like for us doing this video, I guess we get nervous doing these videos. We're not professional video makers and all that sort of stuff. But, the applicant, they do get nervous and their fears. And I like what you mentioned before, that the invigilator's there to work for both parties. But at the end of the day, we don't get any dramas. It's it's your job to assess fitters, I guess, and our job to through Australia Trade Training College and the Down Under Centre to issue the the documents that are required for the visa, which is a skills assessment. And if you're a Pathway 1 client, don't forget, listeners, you also get to you also receive your full Australian qualification, which is a wonderful qualification, because if you're planning on working in the mines, or your employer wants you for their own health and safety, by gaining your full AQF level 3, it definitely helps you with employment. Now, we do get lots of employers looking to sponsor and take on our fitters, but if you're applying for a skilled independent visa, then they're you're not worrying about an employer for the visa process. But if you can arrive with your full Australian qualification, it's definitely going to make your employment a lot easier. So, guys, if you're interested in doing the skills assessment, fill in our free visa points calculator, have a chat with one of our consultants. And Steve, just want to thank you for making the time. You're a busy man. We've got other fitter assessors on, but you're also assess our welders and also metal fabricators as well. So, thanks for everything you do, mate. We appreciate you, buddy.
No, thank you. Thanks for your time, guys. We're looking forward to working with you in the future.
All the best with your assessments. Take care.